More shocking revelations regarding the Dutton family's history were made in 1923 Season 2, Episode 4, and a number of pieces appear to be ready to come together. The effects of an extremely harsh winter have been felt throughout the entire Season 2 cast of 1923. For instance, Elizabeth, Michelle Randolph, was bitten by a rabid wolf. Alexandra, Julia Schlepfer, was robbed by a pickpocket and almost missed her train, and Zane Davis, Brian Garrity, discovered he required brain surgery. Episode 4's bright spots were greatly appreciated because 1923 Season 2 has been so dark and gloomy thus far. Even though Episode 4 of 1923 Season 2 was more optimistic than its predecessors, it still contained some dark moments. Alexandra's mugging was visceral, Zane's surgery was stomach-turning, and Donald Whitfield, Timothy Dalton, carried on with his most contentious plot. But Zane's surgery went well. Elizabeth also revealed she was pregnant, and Teonna Rainwater, Aminah Nieves, and her group enjoyed some time with the cowboys. Episode 4 of 1923 Season 2 covered a lot of ground, and it's worth reviewing. Zane Davis learned he needed brain surgery to remove blood from inside his skull in 1923 Season 2, Episode 3, and he had to do it without anesthesia. Thankfully, Zane's brain surgery went extremely well, and despite the horrific and agonizing procedure, he should fully recover. Zane appears to be recovering remarkably quickly. He was walking and talking normally just seconds after the bandage was applied to the open wound in his skull. It appears that Zane's potentially fatal injury has disappeared as swiftly as it appeared. Zane might very well return to the Duttons' battle against Banner Creighton, Jerome Flynn, and Donald Whitfield, Timothy Dalton, if he keeps recovering at such an unexpected rate. It looks like Zane will be back in the saddle soon, both literally and figuratively, as some of his first remarks were asking if Jacob Harrison Ford was going to take the fight to them. Before Spencer, Brandon Sklenar, even returns to Montana, Zane might be able to begin fighting. As Jacob put it, one disaster has been handled. Another piece of good news reached the Duttons shortly after Zane's incredible recovery. After receiving her rabies vaccination, Elizabeth, Michelle Randolph, found out she was expecting Jack's, Darren Man, child. That information instantly lifted Elizabeth's spirits, and it might even be sufficient to persuade her to remain despite all of the difficulties she's faced with the Yellowstone Ranch in winter. In one amusing instance, Jacob believed that his conversation with Elizabeth had made her and Jack puppies, but Cara Helen Mirren brought him back to reality. A significant mystery surrounding Yellowstone that has been looming over 1923 for a while may also be resolved by Elizabeth's pregnancy. We still don't know if Kevin Costner's John III in Yellowstone is descended from Jack or Spencer, and his father, John Dutton II, hasn't been born yet. However, Elizabeth's child would be John II at the appropriate age and generation. However, the Dutton family curse would not make sense for the child of Spencer and Alexandra, Julia Schlepfer, who would be one generation older. Their only remaining obstacle is to prevent another miscarriage similar to the one they experienced in Season 1 of 1923. In 1923 Season 2, Episode 4, Banner Creighton's story received some attention as well, but it left more questions than answers. Creighton appeared to be largely on board with Whitfield's continued plot to overthrow the Duttons and seize the Yellowstone. Ellie, played by Sarah Randall Hunt, Banner's wife, even pushed him to work with Whitfield and provide a comfortable life for their family. Ellie's support and the prospect of unimaginable wealth might be sufficient to keep Creighton with Whitfield. But there has also been brewing conflict between Whitfield and Creighton. Earlier in 1923 Season 2, Creighton expressed his fear of Whitfield's capacity to see through people and spot business opportunities. Whitfield also made Creighton hide Christie's body at the train station dumping grounds in Yellowstone after Lindy, Madison Elise Rogers, unintentionally killed her. Whitfield's total control over Lindy, Christie's depraved death, and having to dispose of her body like trash might have been too much for Creighton, and he might wind up joining the Duttons after all. In 1923 Season 2, Episode 4, Spencer faced two more significant obstacles on his seemingly never-ending journey to Montana. The first occurred after Spencer was made to deliver the whiskey that had been stolen by the police who had shot Luca, Andy Dispenza. In essence, the police were only using Spencer to identify the whiskey's purchasers, and they always planned to deceive him. That's why Spencer had to escape on a passing train and why one officer handcuffed him to the truck's wheel. His second challenge was to ride the train with Spencer. Spencer jumped on a train that had some homeless people on board, and they insisted that he pay a train tax for the ride. The train tax was merely a ploy by the homeless to intimidate Spencer because they wanted to steal his nice possessions in order to profit from them. Spencer has never been willing to play ball, which is unfortunate for them. He ended up shooting 2 of them and rendering the girl unconscious. In 1923 Season 2, Spencer's failure to pay the train tax may also put him in danger of colliding with Teonna Rainwater, Aminah Nieves, and her group. Teonna, Michael Spears' character runs his horse, and Jeremy Gauna's character Pete Plenty Clouds rode alongside the cowboys on their ranch and then retired to a fairground at the end of the day. They will essentially be on the run once more after Teonna discovered some of the wanted posters Mamie Fossett, Jennifer Carpenter, had created of her at the fairground. Teonna can't stay with the cowboys because, despite their friendliness, they might turn against her if she offers them a $200 reward.